Today, I will be discussing the latest series from mangaka Kakizaki Masasumi. You may know Kakizaki as the artist for Rainbow, the 7 from Block 2 Cell 6, a series that won the 51st Shogakukan Award. Perhaps you've read some of his other series, such as Mysterious or Green Blood. If that is the case, though, that means you like to sail, as none of his works have officially been licensed in English. But if you now set your sails for 7 Seas Entertainment, you can find his first official English licensed work, The Tree of Death, Yomotsuhegui. Before we dive into the review, I want to say that this is a seinen manga, which means it is meant for an adult audience. There is nudity and depictions of sexual violence and gore. 7 Seas rates this as an older teen, which means 17 and up. 7 Seas pitches this book as an action-packed supernatural horror series about a battle over eternal life. Police officer Nawa Kanetsugu lost almost everything when his wife and daughter were killed. All that remains now is his thirst for vengeance and hunger for the fruit of immortality. But when he takes a bite, he is plunged into the midst of an endless war between the enigmatic and twisted Undying and Rin, a single Shinigami looking to restore death to the world. Can Kanetsugu survive? Of course his body shall. But will his soul? I'll be honest, the story here is just alright. Kakizaki does a good job of teasing out information little by little to keep the story suspenseful, and while that is certainly entertaining, it doesn't seem to be building towards a message or theme. Nawa's motivations come off a little cheesy. At first, he's solely focused on revenge, but then after hearing literally one person call for help, he is reminded of his deeper ideals. And I'm not trying to say that this change of heart isn't well motivated, it just comes across as cheesy. Like his wife literally tells his daughter, "Your dad's a hero of justice." And then later, Nawa kills the baddie, and he states himself, "I'm a true hero, I fight for the powerless." Those statements being so on the nose is, well, a little cheesy. And with Nawa's change of heart in the first volume, I'm not sure how much more he will grow as a character. He has already triumphed over evil, and while I'm sure he will struggle with it in coming chapters, that is all it will be, a struggle that he prevails over through his heroic heart. Enough about Nawa, though. Let's talk about Rin, the cute, spunky, hungry, stubborn, and lackadaisical Shinigami. Rin appears to be a more dynamic character. Her interactions with Ochan are fun and they have good banter. It really helped liven up what would otherwise be a very dark and gritty story. It is clear that Nawa is special compared to other hands of the Shinigami, and I'm interested to see how his headstrong heroism might change Rin's stubborn and lackadaisical personality. Now on to Ochan. Ochan needs no change. I mean, just look at this fun little scythe. Now that we've discussed the story and characters, let's discuss the highlights of this manga. The art. I mean, just look at this. Kakizaki clearly knows what he's doing. For one, he can render fantastical beasts like no others. His Cthulhu creation is absolutely wonderful, and the design of the seeds are super gritty and awesome in their own right. Expressions of the characters are easy to read without being over-exaggerated. He starts the book with an almost exclusive use of screen tones, and as more and more supernatural elements creep in, so does his use of ink wash and splattered white ink. While I can't be sure this is intentional, as perhaps the artist just has a much easier time rendering Lovecraftian horrors with ink wash, I think it is a deliberate change of medium to quite literally show how Nawa is entering a new spiritual realm. I did notice that some of his backgrounds use photo reference that are perhaps even just scanned, digitally altered photos. I know this drives some people up in arms, but it's just a background, and I think it's effective. Now the paneling in this was good to great. When Nawa pulls the seed out of Sakase, the paneling is very clear. While it may not seem special, the sequence of events could be hard to depict without words, and yet the reader has no issues understanding what is happening. I also thought the sequence of panels revealing Nawa's backstory through newspaper clippings was super effective. It avoids a wall of exposition between two characters while also really motivating Nawa's need for revenge, all in about 3 pages with 5 sentences. Really, the only thing I have to complain about in regards to paneling is perhaps the overuse of the double-page spread. There are a total of 14 double-page spreads in a 235-page book. Don't get me wrong, I love double-page spreads, and Kakizaki's art is definitely begging for them, but so many of them were used it almost cheapened their effect. I know plenty of y'all will love all the double-page spreads in this, but I personally thought it was a little excessive. The lettering here was fine. It didn't really stick out in any way, which is generally what you want, so no complaints. I thought it was an interesting choice to have almost all of the sound effects in their own bubble, but looking at the Japanese RAWs, that was the original design. I think Kakizaki went that way, as his backgrounds were so detailed it might have been hard for them to stick out otherwise. Ultimately, the sound effects weren't distracting, so no complaints. Overall, I would say all aspects of the art, the rendering, the paneling, and the sound effects complemented the stories and characters well. It didn't feel like this was breaking new grounds on any front, nor discussing any deeper themes, but it was entertaining and effectively communicated its story. Based on the cover, I was hoping for some Lovecraftian horror, but accomplished this in appearance only. This is more of a supernatural action/mystery. I feel like the primary way in which this book tries to scare is through the depiction of gore rather than horror of the unknowable. So if you're looking for a Lovecraftian horror, this book will likely disappoint on that front. But if you're looking for Lovecraftian creatures, it will definitely deliver. To sum it all up, I would say that the story and characters were a 5 out of 10, the art was an 8 out of 10, the paneling was a 7 out of 10, and the lettering/sound effects were a 5 out of 10. So overall, I would give this a 6 out of 10. I love the art and have just enough interest in the story that I'll be picking up Volume 2 when it releases in June later this year. That's all for today's video. Have you read this? What did you think? What should I review next? I'm hoping to get a couple more videos out in May and review some series that started in April and May of this year. What new series are you getting excited about? Will you be picking up this book? Did I mispronounce something in this video? Let me know in the comments below, and if you want to see more reviews about new series, please subscribe and click the bell. The manga is published in English by 7 Seas, first published in Japan in 2022 by Kodansha. It was serialized in the Young magazine. Release date, February 6, 2024. Translation, Deniz Amasya. Adaptation, Jeffrey Thomas. Lettering, Kyou. Logo design, Mariz, Eloisa, Hechanova. Cover design, Nicky. Copy editor, B. Lillian Martin. Proofreader, Leighanna, DeRouen. Production design, Christina, McKenzie. Editor, Nick Mamatas.